What Dreams May Come, they do not live happily ever after. There are a couple of big surprises right at the top of the movie, some of which have already been revealed by all the ads and trailers. So I feel safe, I guess, in saying that one of them is that Williams dies in a car crash, and he moves on to the next world where he finds a long-lost friend. And look at the remarkable vision of heaven that is painted in this movie. It's like a landscape constructed out of the materials in his imagination, as if paradise were an impressionist painting.
Maybe I'm not in your heaven after all, girl. Maybe you're in mine.
His guide in this paradise is a man named Albert, played here by Cuba Gooding Jr., who explains some of the rules of life after death.
See, we're all pretty insecure at first, so we see ourselves somewhere safe, comforting. We all paint our own surroundings, Chris, but you're the first guy I know to use real paint.
There's so much here she didn't paint. Like that bird.
And he gave you a start, sort of like holding on to handrails. Now you're creating an entire world here.
Even in heaven, gravity seems to be a fact of life, sort of.
I bet you think it all to do now!
What Dreams May Come is the latest visionary film by Vincent Ward, who made The Navigator and Map of the Human Heart. Both of those were about journeys into unknown worlds, and so is this one, especially after the Robin Williams character determines to venture into hell itself to save the soulmate that he loves. This is one of the most visually imaginative films I've seen, and Williams somehow has a way of seeming at home in all these imaginary universes, just as he did in Popeye and Jumanji. The flaw in the film, I think, is that it compromises on a conventional happy ending just when it seems poised to push us over the top into something that would really have been special. That holds it back from greatness, but still, it's a very special movie.
Well, in terms of its visual strategy, it is great, no question about it. And I'm glad you signaled out Vincent Ward. I had spotted his talent in Map of the Human Heart, picking one of my top 10 films that year. And if you're looking for a video recommendation, Map of the Human Heart, which was also a love story, and I thought a very passionate one. This picture is stunning. I mean, we know that computer animation is a major development in film art. Well, this is the best it's ever been used, right? You haven't seen it used any better than this.
Well, it's not so much the technical quality, so much as the imagination that I'm responding to.
How appropriate it is for
the way that he exists in a landscape of paint that is still wet. Because his imagination has just completed the painting that he is now part of. This movie is a movie just to be looked at, but I did feel that at the end, if they hadn't been so conventional, they could have maybe pushed it over a little bit more in the dramatic area as well.
I was so excited at looking at that did not occur to me, if we'll say. The other thing is, as long as I'm giving advice, see it in a movie theater. The best movie theater in your town, because you don't want to see this on tape someday.
You're right, you're right.
Okay, next movie. And our next movie is A Night at the Roxbury, about two clueless would-be hipsters always trying to get into the same hot dance club and failing. It's a dreary and predictable comedy that isn't helped by being about the third such film to come out recently. It's not in the same class as either The Last Days of Disco or 54, which weren't themselves anything special. And in just a few months, I guess, we've seen the creation of a whole new genre. The leads are played by Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan, adapting their Saturday Night Live sketch. The Batabi brothers sure know how to bore women with their stories about meeting minor celebrities.
And who do you think that guy was? Emilio Estevez, the mighty Duckman. I swear to God, I was there.
You're the one who yelled the Breakfast Clubber's name.
I was like, Emilio!
What plot there is, as if we care, involves the guys trying to get backing for their own dance club. In the process, they are mistaken for being wealthy, which gives you an idea of just how dim the characters are in this movie. A Night at the Roxbury is utterly trivial, and the Batabis themselves are a derivative bore.
Boy, I agree with you here, Gene. You know, and it's a funny thing because Chris Kattan, I love on Saturday Night Live when he does that missing link guy. I mean, I think he's really funny, but these characters are a one-joke sketch. And the first time I saw it, I liked it, you know, for 10 seconds as they're snapping their heads together, and then it ran out. And as I'm looking at this movie, I realized that it's absolutely deadly to comedy when you feel sorry for the characters. These guys are so pathetic, there's no way to laugh at them or with them. You just want to, you know, hope that somehow they find happiness in life.
The first 10 seconds that you say you like is a dead lift from Wayne's World.
Well, there you are then.
Okay. Coming up later, there's Trouble in the Colony. Woody Allen and Sharon Stone supply some of the voices in the new animated feature, Antz. Coming up next, Dennis Leary on the mean streets in Monument Avenue.
Yeah. When the cops gonna learn, huh? This town don't talk. Especially this kid right there. Chatterbox, give the gap, huh?
In a neighborhood bar in Boston, a local hoodlum played by Colm Meaney drops in on a getting out of prison party for Billy Crudup, and that is Dennis Leary there, playing the man looking on with a certain concern because he knows that his cokehead friend is a weak blabbermouth in a neighborhood that has swift punishment for people who talk too much. And that's a setup scene in Monument Avenue, a hard-edged, observant slice of life that stars Leary as a neighborhood car thief who begins to feel exhausted and desperate. A few moments after the previous scene, gunmen working for Meaney shoot the talkative kid dead. Then the beat detective, Martin Sheen, turns up, and he has seen all of this before.
Yeah, I assume they already explained to you the part about keeping your mouth shut, so let me fill you in on the rest of it. You were in the bathroom. That's right. See, everybody in this joint was in the bathroom during the shooting. Maybe you didn't know that about this neighborhood. Oh, yeah. The bar rooms around here got the biggest heads in America.
The movie has a lot of everyday detail depicting a neighborhood where young men are growing older every day but still playing the same old tapes over and over again.
What I want you guys to do is break the window on the ground level floor, reach in their mouths, and hit that button. Hurry up, come on. Go, 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 go. Once the glass is broken, you activate the alarm. Now, this gives you 2 minutes. I repeat, exactly 2 minutes before the cops show up. So don't be around.
There have been a lot of movies about the mean streets and about local hoods on dead-end trips, but Monument Avenue is a special one that looks and listens and sees how a rotten system is preserved by a code that essentially destroys the lives of everyone who subscribes to it. Dennis Leary, a comedian earlier in his career, who turned into a movie actor a few years ago, here shows real power and depth. This is a breakthrough performance for him, and the whole ensemble is right there with him in a movie where every day is a contest between boredom and desperation.
Well, boredom describes my reaction to the film because I have seen so many of these mean streets pictures, and it's always the same. You know, the punks, the alcoholic mother. That's not an original thing. The grieving.
Much more than, it's not about her being an alcoholic mother. It's about her being a mother who cares and who desperately wants her son to break out of this. It's not about her drinking.
I wait for the funeral scene. I mean, this.
Yeah, but you've never seen a scene like the movie, the scene here where Colm Meaney goes to the wake and passes out $100 bills to the parents and relatives of the man that he just had killed, and everybody lets him get away with it. I mean, that scene is really powerful.
I just felt I had been in this neighborhood too many times before.
I had never seen it with such attention to the texture of the everyday life, to the way that they, you know, their days dribble out in the middle of the night with drinking and dope and talking and so forth.
Oh, the drinking. Boy, there's an original thing.
No, it's not just the drinking, Gene. It's the desperation. It's the circular sort of thing. It's the way that they're trapped.
They're trapped from the get-go. And I felt with this picture, I was watching actors doing scenes, an actor's exercise, rather than real characters.
I bought every single moment in this movie.
And I didn't.
Coming up next, Woody Allen, Sharon Stone, and Sylvester Stallone lend their voices to some amazing insects in the new animated comedy, Antz.
In case you haven't noticed, we ants are running the show. We're the lords of the earth.
Hey, don't talk to me about Earth, okay? Because I just spent all day hauling it around. You know, my mother never had time for me. You know, when you're the middle child, in a family of 5 million, you don't get any attention. I mean, how's it possible?
The voice of Woody Allen as an animated ant named Z, an ant described as an ant with ideas, in the visually striking, no, make that the visually stunning animated feature called Antz, which mixes humor and social satire and adventure so well, it will hold more appeal for adults than for kids. It is the Woody Allen ant who is the star of the show with his clever commentary on what a drone it is to be a drone.
I was not cut out to be a worker. I'll tell you right now. I feel physically inadequate. My whole life, I've never been able to lift more than 10 times my own body weight. And when you get down to it, handling dirt is, you know, is not my idea of a rewarding career.
His nonconformist attitude ultimately puts him in conflict with the officious general of the colony, voiced by Gene Hackman. Christopher Walken supplies the voice of the colonel.
There is time right now for a personal moment. We're a few seconds ahead of schedule.
Excellent.
Ooh, ouch. Princess?
Well, a few seconds isn't much, but I guess if it's quality time. So, how was your day? Anything interesting happen?
We declared war.
Declared war? Boy, talk about a rough day.
Sir, I hate to interrupt, but time stands still for no end.
That's Sharon Stone supplying the voice of Princess Bala, the daughter of the colony's queen. Bala becomes Z's ladybug.
What a bunch of losers. Mindless zombies capitulating to an oppressive system.
Hi. Want to dance?
Absolutely.
Another part of the story involves Z's search for a legendary land of plenty called Insectopia. But once there, the ants find it's sticky going when there's gum afoot.
Get me out of here!
Bala!
Now, each shot of huge numbers of objects in Antz, and there are many, is impressive. Watching this film is one wow event after another. On a more subtle level, I also appreciate the attention to detail that went into animating each blade of grass into a fibrous post. That, and an exciting battle between ants and an army of termites, and letting Woody Allen, I assume, write many of his characters' lines, marks Antz as one of the major film achievements of this movie year.
Boy, I agree with you, and I agree, too, when you said that this movie appealed to adults as much as, or maybe more than to children, because it reminded me of Animal Farm in the sense that it takes these ants in their colony and finds parallels with society, as, for example, when Woody Allen says about the termites, instead of attacking them, why don't we just give them some campaign contributions? And I just love the look of the film when the ants form into that great ball and swing back and forth, working together.
And the termites.
Oh, the termites. And the grasshopper? Grasshopper is enormous to an ant.
Also, I've complained on this show about Woody Allen's character getting tired, his, neurotic persona getting tired. He brings it all back with this character. Maybe he found that he wasn't dealing with himself liberating. He adapted his own dialogue, and it's really funny.
Yeah, and there's a kind of an in-joke because Woody Allen is so famous for detesting and having a phobia about insects of all kinds, and now he gets one of his best roles playing one. When we come back, a special report about a trend I noticed at the Toronto Film Festival. I call it the new Geek Cinema.
The stripper's here. Excellent.
This is Tina.
And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the star of tonight's tribute to his greatest films of all time.
Hiya, folks!
Disney's The Spirit of Mickey. Finally, you can own Mickey's greatest hit films. Available for the first time ever. On sale now.
Every generation seems compelled to find out for itself what can and what cannot be said in public. But the movies are a little different because to be successful, a movie must be able to persuade an entire audience that what it's saying or showing is worth in one way or another being heard or seen. This year at the Toronto Film Festival, I saw some films that edged right up against the boundaries of acceptable content, and at least one that I think crossed over to the other side. Some audiences had more than a little trouble, for example, with Peter Berg's Very Bad Things, which is about a bachelor party that goes wrong when a stripper is accidentally killed and a security guard is murdered.
How do we get her out of here?
We can wrap her up in blankets, bring the car around to the back of the hotel, lower her gently down off the balcony, put her in the car, we're done.
You've done this before?
The reality is, you take away the horror of the situation, take away the tragedy of the death, take away the moral and ethical implications of all that you've had conditioned and beaten into your head since grade 1, what are we left with? What? It's a 105-pound problem.
That's not an unusual scenario in itself for black comedy, but some audience members thought that those deaths were so brutal and heartless that the movie was never able to recover and get back on the track of comedy. Even more controversial was the film Happiness by the director Todd Solondz. It goes behind the closed doors of desperately lonely people who seek solace in their depravities, and the most disturbing scenes involve a child molester whose wife has no idea of his secret life.
Sometimes I wonder if any of your patients can talk to you.
Sometimes I wonder if they'll ever stop. I should tape some for you.
Oh, Bill, would you? Would you really? So I could listen too?
No.
Oh, come on. You're such a tease. You know I wouldn't tell anyone.
Right, because you're so secretive.
Well, maybe not as secretive as you.
What secret would you like me to tell you?
And we'll be reviewing Happiness in a couple of weeks. The most disturbing film I saw at Toronto was Thursday by Skip Woods, which essentially consists of 2 hours of sadistic and depraved violence, much of it directed against minorities and presented as comedy. Its style shows that it expects audiences to find it hip and cool, but this is a movie that poses the question, are we so determined to be hip that we will laugh at literally anything? Now, we'll be reviewing all of these films as they're released, and don't assume they're all going to get thumbs down from me. I like movies that push the envelope and take chances, but I'm not sure all subject matter can be protected by a shield of hip irony. Movies traditionally earn their right to controversial subject matter by how they treat it and what their attitude is toward it, and what I'm calling the new geek cinema. Some of the new geek films I like and some I don't, goes way beyond that tradition. Some of these films are like the geek at the circus sideshow who used to bite the heads off of live chickens. These movies are not hip and they're not ironic, they're simply depraved, and their directors have chicken feathers all over their chins.
Listen, just on a recent show, I was telling you about Urban Legend that I thought went over that. Now, this is a mainstream picture compared to the films that you're talking about.
I think you're going to find with some of these pictures that Urban Legend was more like a PG-13 by comparison.
This is going on in other areas of film. Comedies are going over the top. The fact that There's Something About Mary has been such a gigantic hit, raises the bar to what you got to get to make the audience laugh. The movies are moving rapidly, and the man who predicted this all was Marshall McLuhan, who said many years ago, we're living in speed up. And that's exactly what's happening.
Recently, I've been feeling really speeded up. We'll be right back after this.
Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up for the beautiful What Dreams May Come, starring Robin Williams as a man on a mission in the afterlife. Congratulations to director Vincent Ward and his animation staff on creating one of the great visual achievements in film history. 2 thumbs down, way down, for the pointless and witless would-be comedy A Night at the Roxbury. We split on Monument Avenue, starring Dennis Leary as a man who has dead-ended in a life of crime. I felt the film offered too many blue-collar cliches, but Roger thought the movie brought a freshness to the genre. And finally, 2 big thumbs up for the original-looking animated feature, Antz.
Well, now here we have a show with 2 movies that depend heavily on computer special effects. What Dreams May Come and Antz, and in both cases, what the directors have done is use the power of the computer to express their own vision wonderfully instead of just using it as a shortcut.
Filmmakers are more computer literate than ever before, and we're seeing the full flower of the use of the computer here in film.
Okay, remember you can hear our reviews on the web at Siskel-Ebert.com, and our website also lists the stations that carry our show. Next week we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including the comedy Holy Man, starring Eddie Murphy and Jeff Goldblum. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.